You grab a paper towel off the roll to wipe down the counter after dinner, and before your hand even hits the granite, the towel tears right down the middle. You're standing there holding two wet, flimsy pieces of what used to be a paper towel, and you think, did I just get a bad roll? So you tear off another one, same thing, thin, almost translucent in spots, and it falls apart the second it touches anything wet. You're not imagining it. If your paper towels feel thinner, weaker, and less useful than they did a few years ago, there's a real reason for that. And it has nothing to do with your grip or your expectations. A lot of the brands you've been buying for 10, 20, even 30 years have quietly changed what's inside the package. The rolls might look the same size. The packaging might still say strong or absorbent or select a size. But the actual sheets, the paper you're pulling off that roll and trusting to do a job, have gotten thinner. Some have fewer plies, some have smaller sheets, some have fewer sheets per roll, and some have done all three at the same time while raising the price. This is one of the clearest examples of what people call shrinkflation, and it's hitting your paper towel aisle harder than you probably realize. In this video, we're going through 11 paper towel brands that many shoppers say feel noticeably thinner than they used to. We'll talk about what changed, why it matters more than you'd think, and what to look for so you stop wasting money on rolls that don't perform. And after the list, we'll cover some brands that are still holding up, plus a simple in-store check you can do in about 5 seconds to avoid bringing home a disappointing roll. Let's get into it. Number 1. Bounty. This is the big one, and it's going to surprise people because Bounty has built its entire identity on being the quicker picker-upper. For decades, Bounty was the paper towel you reached for when you needed something that could actually handle a real mess. A spilled glass of juice, grease on the stove, wiping down a bathroom sink. It worked. It was thick. It held together. But over the past several years, a growing number of shoppers have noticed that Bounty doesn't feel the way it used to. The sheets feel thinner. They seem to tear more easily when wet. And if you compare a current Bounty sheet to one from 5 or 6 years ago, you can sometimes see the difference just by holding it up to a light. Procter & Gamble, the company behind Bounty, has adjusted sheet sizes and sheet counts multiple times. They've also introduced so many product tiers, Bounty Essentials, Bounty Select A-Size, Bounty Full Sheet, Bounty Advanced, that it's genuinely hard for a regular shopper to know which version they're getting. And here's the thing, Bounty Essentials, which is their budget-friendly line, is significantly thinner than the original Bounty you remember. But it still says Bounty on the package. It still sits on the same shelf. And if you're shopping quickly, you might grab it thinking you're getting the Bounty you trust. You're not. Even the standard Bounty has drawn complaints. If you read recent reviews on major retail sites, you'll see comments like, not as thick as before, tears too easily, and I have to use 2 sheets now instead of 1. When you have to double up on sheets to get the same job done, that roll isn't saving you anything. If you still want Bounty, look specifically for the full-size 2-ply version and check the sheet count on the back. Skip Bounty Essentials, unless you're okay with a noticeably thinner product. Number 2, Brawny. Brawny is another legacy name. The lumberjack on the package has been a grocery aisle fixture for decades, and for a long time, Brawny delivered a solid paper towel. Thick, textured, reasonably tough when wet. But Georgia-Pacific, the company that makes Brawny, has made changes that a lot of loyal customers have picked up on. Sheets have gotten smaller. The pick-a-size versions use smaller perforations, which means each individual sheet is shorter, and because the sheets are shorter, you end up pulling off 2 or 3 to cover the same area one used to handle. The paper itself also feels less dense to many users. It doesn't grip a wet surface the way it once did. Georgia-Pacific has also played the roll size game aggressively. You'll see double rolls and triple rolls on the packaging, but those comparisons are made against the company's own regular roll, which keeps getting smaller. So a double roll today might actually contain fewer sheets than a standard roll from 2015. It's confusing by design. If you like Brawny, pay attention to the total sheet count on the package, not the roll size claims on the front. That's where the real information is. Number 3. Sparkle. Sparkle has always been positioned as the affordable paper towel. It's made by the same parent company as Brawny, Georgia-Pacific, and it's priced to compete with store brands. A lot of families buy Sparkle because it's cheap and it gets the job done for light tasks. But light tasks is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Sparkle has never been a heavy-duty towel, and in recent years, it's gotten even thinner. Many shoppers report that current Sparkle sheets feel almost like single ply, even when the package says otherwise. They dissolve quickly when wet. They leave lint on glass and mirrors. And they shred if you try to scrub anything with even a little pressure. For the price, you might think you're saving money. But if you're using 3 or 4 sheets every time you need a paper towel, you're burning through that roll fast, and your cost per use goes up. Sparkle can work fine for very light, dry tasks, like putting under a piece of fruit on the counter or blotting a tiny drip. But for actual cleaning, you're going to be disappointed, and you'll go through rolls faster than you expect. Number 4. Scott. Scott paper towels, made by Kimberly-Clark, have a long history. Scott has been a household name for well over a century. Their paper towels were always positioned as a practical, no-frills choice. Not fancy, not expensive, just functional. The problem is that functional has been slowly redefined. Scott's current paper towels are noticeably thinner than what many people remember. The sheets feel rough and papery, almost like the kind of towel you'd find in a gas station restroom dispenser. They don't absorb well. They fall apart quickly when wet. And the texture has gotten coarser, which makes them unpleasant to use on your hands or face. Scott has also reduced sheet counts on some of their rolls while keeping packaging that looks similar to what it was before. If you've been buying Scott out of habit, it's worth actually comparing what you're getting now to what you were getting a few years ago. The difference is real. Scott still has a place if you need a very cheap towel for very basic tasks, but don't expect it to handle anything beyond a quick dry wipe. Number 5. Great Value, the Walmart store brand. Great Value paper towels are one of the most purchased store brand towels in America because Walmart is where a huge percentage of the country shops. And for a while, Great Value offered a surprisingly decent paper towel for the money. Not as good as the name brands at their best, but close enough that the savings made sense. Recently, though, a lot of Walmart shoppers have noticed a decline. The sheets feel thinner, the texture has less grip, and the wet strength, meaning how well the towel holds together when it's soaked, has dropped noticeably. You pick up a wet Great Value sheet, and it starts to come apart in your hand almost immediately. Store brands are made by contract manufacturers, and those contracts can change. The company making Great Value paper towels this year might not be the same one that made them 2 years ago. When the manufacturer changes or when Walmart negotiates a lower cost, the product can change too, and the customer is the last one to find out. If you shop at Walmart and you've been happy with Great Value towels in the past, do a quick check next time. Pull a sheet off the roll in the store if the package is open, or buy one roll before committing to a bulk pack. See if it still meets your standard. Number 6. Up and Up, the Target store brand. Target's Up and Up line covers everything from bandages to batteries to paper towels, and a lot of Target shoppers trust it because Target has a reputation for slightly better quality than the average discount store. That reputation carries over to their store brand, whether it's earned or not. Up and Up paper towels have gotten mixed reviews in recent years. Some shoppers say the quality varies from batch to batch, which is a common problem with store brands. One package might feel reasonably thick and absorbent. The next one, bought a month later, feels noticeably thinner and weaker. That inconsistency makes it hard to rely on. The sheets also tend to be on the smaller side, especially in the select-a-size versions. And the wet strength is mediocre. For light kitchen use, Up and Up can be fine, but if you're counting on it for heavier jobs, you may end up doubling or tripling sheets, which eats into the savings. Number 7. Viva. This one is interesting because Viva, also made by Kimberly-Clark, has always marketed itself differently from other paper towels. Viva's big selling point is that it feels like cloth. The texture is smooth, almost fabric-like, and for certain tasks, like cleaning glass or wiping down a table, that smooth feel is genuinely nice. But here's where it gets tricky. Viva's cloth-like texture can actually mask how thin the product has become. Because it feels soft and smooth, your brain interprets it as quality. But when you actually put it to work on a real mess, a lot of shoppers have noticed that current Viva sheets don't absorb as well as they used to, and they tear more easily under pressure. Viva has also gone through some reformulations over the years. Some longtime buyers say the towels used to feel thicker and more substantial, and that the current version is a step down. The smooth surface can also be a disadvantage for scrubbing because there's less texture to grip dirt and grime. If you like Viva for light wiping and glass cleaning, it can still work. But if you're paying a premium price expecting premium durability, you might want to test it against some alternatives before buying in bulk. If you've been watching this far and any of these brands sound familiar, do me a quick favor. Drop a comment and tell me which paper towel brand you've been using and whether you've noticed a difference. I read these comments, and honestly, your experiences help other viewers figure out what's worth buying. All right, let's keep going. Number 8. Marcal. Marcal is a brand that a lot of people on the East Coast know well. It's been around since the 1930s, and it built a loyal following as an affordable, everyday paper product. In more recent years, Marcal has also leaned into eco-friendly messaging, marketing its towels as made from recycled materials. Recycled paper towels can be a perfectly fine choice, and there's nothing wrong with buying recycled. But the trade-off with Marcal, and this is something many buyers have pointed out, is that the towels feel noticeably thin and rough. They don't absorb as well as virgin fiber towels. They tear easily. And the texture can feel scratchy, almost like using a piece of newspaper. Marcal went through bankruptcy in 2019, and the brand has changed hands. When a brand goes through financial trouble and ownership changes, product quality can shift, and not usually in the direction of improvement. If you're buying Marcal for the environmental angle, that's a valid reason. But go in with realistic expectations about thickness and strength. You'll likely need more sheets per task, which partially offsets the savings and the environmental benefit. Number 9. Presto, the Amazon store brand. If you order household supplies through Amazon, you've probably seen Presto paper towels. They're Amazon's own brand, priced to compete with budget options, and they show up prominently in search results because, well, Amazon controls the search results. Presto towels are cheap, and they feel cheap. Multiple reviewers describe them as thin, flimsy, and quick to fall apart when wet. The texture is flat, with very little of the quilting or embossing that helps better towels grip moisture. For the price, you might think you're getting a deal, but the performance gap is significant. The bigger concern with any Amazon house brand is transparency. You don't always know who's manufacturing the product, and Amazon can switch suppliers without any notice to the customer. So even if you get a decent batch once, the next order might come from a completely different factory with different quality standards. If you're ordering paper towels online, it's worth comparing the per-sheet cost of Presto against a name brand bought in bulk at a warehouse club. In many cases, the warehouse club option gives you a better towel for a similar or even lower per-sheet price. Number 10. Kirkland Signature, the Costco store brand. Now, I want to be fair here, because Kirkland Signature paper towels are still one of the better store brand options on the market. Costco has a strong reputation for maintaining quality in their Kirkland line, and for the most part, that reputation is deserved. But even Kirkland hasn't been completely immune to the thinning trend. Some longtime Costco members have reported that the towels feel slightly less substantial than they did a few years ago. The sheets might be a touch thinner, or the wet strength might not be quite what it was. These are subtle changes, not dramatic ones, but when you're buying in bulk, even a small quality drop matters because you're committing to a large quantity. Kirkland paper towels are still a solid choice for most households, but if you're a Costco regular, it's worth paying attention to whether your experience matches what it used to be. And if you notice a change, say something. Costco is one of the few retailers that actually responds to member feedback on product quality. Number 11. Seventh Generation. Seventh Generation markets itself as the responsible choice. Their paper towels are made from recycled fiber, they're unbleached, and the packaging emphasizes sustainability. For shoppers who care about environmental impact, Seventh Generation checks a lot of boxes. But when it comes to actual performance, a lot of buyers have been disappointed. The towels are thin, they're rough, they don't absorb well compared to conventional options, and they're priced at a premium, often costing more per sheet than name-brand towels that perform significantly better. The brown, unbleached look can also give a perception of natural quality, but color doesn't tell you anything about thickness, strength, or absorbency. You're paying extra for the environmental positioning, and that's a legitimate value if it matters to you. But you should know that you're getting a thinner, weaker towel for that premium price. If you're expecting it to perform like a top-tier conventional towel, you'll be frustrated. Some shoppers split the difference by using a strong, conventional towel for heavy-duty kitchen work and keeping Seventh Generation around for light tasks like drying hands. That way you get the environmental benefit without the frustration of a towel that can't handle a real spill. All right, so that's the list. 11 brands that many shoppers say feel thinner than they used to. Now let's talk about what's actually worth buying, and then I'll give you a quick trick you can use right in the store to check towel quality before you spend your money. When it comes to paper towels that are still holding up well, a few names come up consistently. Bounty, specifically the original full sheet, 2-ply version, not Bounty Essentials, is still one of the strongest performers in independent absorbency and wet strength tests. Yes, even Bounty made the warning list, but that's because the brand has so many sublines that it's easy to accidentally buy the wrong one. If you stick with the original 2-ply Bounty and you watch the price, it's still a capable towel. Just make sure you know exactly which Bounty you're picking up. Costco's Kirkland Signature, despite the minor concerns I mentioned, consistently ranks near the top in consumer testing for absorbency and strength relative to price. The per-sheet cost at Costco is hard to beat, and the quality, while maybe not quite what it was 5 years ago, is still above most of the competition. If you have a Costco membership, this is probably your best everyday value. Trader Joe's paper towels don't get a lot of attention, but they've quietly earned a decent reputation. They're reasonably thick, they hold up okay when wet, and the price is fair. They're not going to outperform a premium Bounty sheet, but for the money, they're a respectable option. If you're already shopping at Trader Joe's, grab a roll and test it yourself. For shoppers who want an eco-friendly option that actually performs, look at Who Gives a Crap or Cloud Paper. Both are made from bamboo fiber, which tends to be stronger and more absorbent than recycled conventional fiber. They're not cheap, but if sustainability is important to you and you've been disappointed by the thinness of recycled paper options, bamboo-based towels are worth trying. Just buy a single package first to see if you like the feel before committing to a subscription. One more worth mentioning. If you shop at Aldi, their Boulder brand paper towels have gotten surprisingly positive feedback from budget-conscious shoppers. They're not the thickest towel on the market, but for the price, they offer reasonable performance, and Aldi's pricing is consistently low. They're a smart choice if you go through a lot of paper towels and you need something affordable that won't completely fall apart on first contact with water. Now, here's the practical part, the 5-second store check. Before you buy any paper towel, especially if you're trying a new brand or you suspect your usual brand has changed, do this. First, look at the package and find the total sheet count. Ignore the front of package claims about double rolls or equals X regular rolls. Those comparisons are based on the manufacturer's own definition of a regular roll, which is meaningless. The only number that matters is the actual total sheet count in the package and the price per sheet. Most stores now show a unit price on the shelf tag. If yours does, compare the price per 100 sheets across brands. That's your real cost comparison. Second, look for the ply count. 2 ply is the minimum you want for any real cleaning task. If the package doesn't clearly state 2 ply, or if it says strong 1 ply or something similar, that's a red flag. 1 ply paper towels exist to be cheap, and they perform like it. Third, if the store has an open package or a display roll, which some warehouse clubs do, pull off a single sheet and do 3 things. Hold it up to the light. If you can easily read text through it, it's too thin. Then wet it under a faucet or with a water bottle. Squeeze it gently. If it immediately starts to disintegrate or tear, the wet strength is poor. Finally, try to stretch it gently in both directions. A good paper towel will have some give without tearing right away. A cheap one will rip almost immediately. Fourth, check the sheet size. Some brands have quietly reduced the dimensions of each sheet by a ½ inch or even a full inch in one direction. That doesn't sound like much, but over a full roll, it adds up. You're getting less towel per sheet, which means you use more sheets, which means the roll runs out faster. And fifth, if you're buying in bulk, buy 1 package first. Use it for a week. See how fast you go through it compared to your old brand. If you're pulling off twice as many sheets to do the same jobs, that bulk deal isn't actually saving you anything. Paper towels seem like a small thing. They're not expensive compared to a lot of what's in your cart. But most American households go through a lot of them, and over the course of a year, the difference between a towel that works in 1 sheet and a towel that takes 3 sheets to do the same job adds up to real money. More importantly, it's frustrating. You shouldn't have to fight with a paper towel to clean up a simple spill. The brands on this list aren't necessarily bad companies, but many of them have made quiet changes to save money on their end, and those savings came out of the product you're paying for. The package looks the same, the brand name is the same, the price is the same or higher, but the towel inside is thinner, smaller, or weaker than it was. You deserve to know that before you load a 24-pack into your cart. Next time you're in the paper towel aisle, slow down for just a minute. Check the sheet count, check the ply, check the sheet size, and if something feels off when you get it home, trust your hands. You're not imagining it. The towel changed. The question is whether you're going to keep paying for it. Thanks for watching. If this helped you, share it with someone who does the grocery shopping in their household. And if you've found a paper towel brand that's still holding up, put it in the comments. Your recommendation might save somebody else a lot of frustration and a lot of wasted money. I'll see you in the next one.